Hi everyone, it's Rachel from Desert Blossom Crafts back with a new crochet pattern. Today I'm so excited to share this red truck ornament pattern with you. I've designed a lot of crochet ornaments, but this one has got to be my absolute favorite. I've always loved the red truck trend because my boyfriend has a red truck, and so this was just such a fun pattern for me to design. This ornament is part of a crochet along happening in July, full of 12 ornament crochet patterns. If you're finding this video in July, I would love to have you join the CAL. It's very relaxed, never too late to join. All the information will be in the description box. If you're finding this way after July and you just want to make this red truck, that is totally fine too. All the other ornaments will be available as free patterns, and I will put some more information about that in the description box. But for now, let's just jump into this tutorial. As far as materials go, you're going to need some worsted weight yarn in 5 different colors. Most of the yarns I am using are Red Heart Super Saver, although I do not know what the brand is for this red one, but really you just can grab some worsted weight yarn in your stash that is the right colors. You just need red, white, black, green, and tan. And then for a hook, you're going to need a G or 4mm crochet hook, as well as a yarn needle at the end to sew all the pieces together. But that's about it. We are going to start by making the body of the truck, so go ahead and grab your red yarn and your hook and make a foundation chain of 21. Once you've done that, we are going to make our first row together. So skip the first chain, single crochet in the next chain, and now we're just going to single crochet in every chain across, like so. Nothing hard about this row, just single crochet in each chain across. So when you get to the end, because we skipped the first chain, you should have 20 single crochet. So here is row 1 all done. We just have our 20 single crochet. To start row 2, we're just going to chain 1, turn, and start it just like a regular single crochet row. Single crochet in the first stitch, and single crochet in the next one, and just keep single crocheting all the way across. So here I have about 6 single crochet done. I'll meet you back when I get to the end because there is something a little bit different we're going to do on the last stitch. So here I've done 19 single crochet on row 2. I just have 1 single crochet left right here I need to work into. And what I'm going to do is, instead of just doing 1 into this stitch, we're going to do 2. So here's my first one. And then just insert your hook back into that same exact stitch. And now we have 2 at the end. So this end is going to be the front end of the truck, like this, because we'll be doing some increases and decreases along the front. The next 2 rows, however, are going to be very simple. So for row 3, chain 1, turn, and go ahead and just work a single crochet in each stitch across. Nothing added into this round, no increases and decreases. Just keep going till you get to the end, and then do the same exact thing for row 4. I'm going to go ahead and do those 2 rows off camera, and then I'll meet you back for row 5. So here are my first 4 rows done. For row 5, we're going to turn without chaining. So I know this will feel a little bit abnormal, but we're not going to chain at the beginning. We're just going to do our single crochet right into the first stitch without a chain, like that. And that's just going to bring it in a tiny bit and not give it a square look because of the chain. So now that we've done our first single crochet, we're going to do a decrease. So we're going to do a single crochet 2 together. To do this, just insert your hook like you would for a regular single crochet and pull up a loop. But then instead of completing it, we're just going to go into the next one, pull up a loop, and now we have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So there's our decrease. Now from here, we're just going to single crochet all the way across like before. And when we get to the end of this row, we should have 20 single crochet again. So we had increased from the 20 single crochet we started with, and now we're decreasing back to have only 20, and we're going to do some more decreases here in a minute. Alright, so row 5 is done. For row 6, chain 1, turn like normal, and go ahead and work 10 single crochet like normal. Once you get to this 10th one, we're going to place a stitch marker in it because we're going to need to come back to this later. So I've just grabbed a scrap of yarn and I'm just going to pull it through. You can use an actual stitch marker if you have one as well. Then from here, go ahead and just keep single crocheting across. So if we look at it, that's what it looks like to have that stitch marker in there. Just keep going until you have one stitch left, because we're going to do something different into the last stitch. Okay, so here's what it looks like. I just have one stitch left here. Instead of doing a single crochet, we're going to slip stitch into this stitch. And this is actually going to be our way of decreasing this stitch, but still keeping the front looking nice. So slip stitch, and then just kind of pull it a little bit, not too tight, but just a little bit tighter than usual, because we're going to skip this slip stitch when we start the next row. So for row 7, chain 1, skip your slip stitch right here, so make sure you don't go in that, and we're going to slip stitch in the next 5 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And what this does is just kind of makes the top curve up in a more round way rather than making it look more square. So what we're going to do now is start doing the top of the truck that comes up like this. So from here, these slip stitches are not going to count as stitches. We're just using them to get over to this part of the truck. Go ahead and chain 1 and single crochet in the same stitch as the last slip stitch you made. Then single crochet in the next 5 single crochet. 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see your last single crochet should be where you have the stitch marker, and this is going to come in handy later as well. So go ahead and leave that in there. So now we're going to start working just across these 6 single crochet. So we're done with the bed of the truck until we do the railing. So for row 8, it's just going to be simple. Chain 1, turn, single crochet in the first stitch and in the next 5. There's 3, 4, 5, so you should have 6 total. There's what that looks like. Now we're going to chain 1. For this row, we're going to skip this first single crochet and go directly into the next one, and single crochet to the end. And now we just have one more to do. Chain 1, turn, single crochet in the first one again, like before, single crochet in the next 3, and now we just have one left, and we're going to slip stitch into that one. Just pull that a little bit tighter, and there you go. That is the body of the truck in the red, all done. You can fasten it off and weave in your ends. And we're not going to need the red ends for sewing later. For the other pieces, we'll want to leave long tails for sewing, but for the red, you won't need that. The next step is to go ahead and make the railing on the back of the truck. So go ahead and grab your tan yarn, make a slip knot, and this is now when we're going to use this stitch marker that we made. So where this stitch marker is where we want to insert our hook to make our first single crochet. So just insert your hook into the stitch with the stitch marker and make your single crochet. The slip knot will form the top of that single crochet. If it's a little loose, you can tug on the end. Now, we're going to simply chain 2, skip 2 single crochet, and then single crochet in the next one, all the way across the back of the truck. So chain 2, skip 2, single crochet, chain 2, and here's our last one. Just go in the last stitch, and there's the railing. Pretty simple, pretty easy. Just go ahead and cut your yarn, and we will move on to the other pieces of the truck. Let's go ahead and do the wheels next. Just make a slip knot and go ahead and chain 2. Make 6 single crochet in the second chain from your hook. And I like to crochet over the end when I do this so I can pull it nice and tight in the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now pull it. Now we're not going to join this, we're just going to go ahead and start the next round to make it continuous. So go ahead and do 2 single crochet in the first single crochet. So let's get a little closer here. It's going to be hard to see because it's black yarn, but you just want to do 2 single crochet in the first one, and then 2 single crochet in every stitch around. So I like to just count while I'm doing this so I know exactly what I'm at. So I did 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This means I'm halfway around. I should just have 3 more stitches to find. 7, 8, 9, 10, and last one, 11, 12. Now at this point you will join with a slip stitch to this first stitch right here and take that tail that we worked over and just pull it nice and tight in the center, and we will cut this, and that's really all you have to do for the wheels. Just make 2 of these. To finish up the wheel, we do need to do the little white part in the center. So for this I just took a long strand of white yarn, threaded my yarn needle, and I'm just working it in between rounds 1 and 2. So I'm going to pull up the first one here, leave a tail at the end to weave in later, and we're just going to work our way around the wheel, sewing just back and forth. So now I'm at the back, going up, and then I'm going to come from the front to the back right here. And I'm going to have to go around twice in order to get all of these done. Okay, here I'm at my last one, and of course that will just make the white part go all the way around, and at this point your wheels are completely finished and ready to sew on to the truck when we're all done. We're getting really close to being done, but we just have the window and the Christmas tree left. So for the window it's going to be pretty fast. Just chain 4 with your white yarn, single crochet in the second chain from your hook and the next 2. For row 2, chain 1, turn, single crochet across, 1, 2, and 3. And for row 3, chain 1, skip the first single crochet, single crochet in the next 2, and then to finish it off we're going to slip stitch in the last single crochet just to give it a nice finished look there on the edge. And then you can fasten that off and your window is done. Just keep in mind this is the way that it will lay on the truck, so this last slip stitch is the left side and the top. So if I grab this, it will go on just like that. For the Christmas tree, we are going to basically be making a mini version of my tree ornament that I have already released a pattern for. So this is the same type of tree, but it's just a little bit smaller. So I'm going to go through this tutorial pretty quick, so if you need more guidance on the puff stitch that we're using and stuff like that, go ahead and check out this video. I'll put a link in the description and in the cards so you can get more help if you need it. When you make your slip knot, leave a long end at the beginning because this is going to be the end we're going to use to sew the tree on. So keep that in mind first of all. And then go ahead and chain 10. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Single crochet in the second chain from your hook and each single crochet across. Just like many of the pieces of this truck, we've been doing that. These all start pretty similarly. So you should have 9 single crochet when you get to the end here. For row 2, we're going to chain 2, turn, and make a puff stitch in the first, not the very first single crochet. This chain 2 is going to count as a half double crochet. We're going to do it in this second single crochet. Here is what the puff stitch looks like. We're basically pulling up loops till we have 7 loops on our hook, then we're yarning over, pulling through 6, yarning over, pulling through 2. Again, check out that other tutorial if you need more help on that. Now go ahead and chain 1, skip the next single crochet, make a puff stitch into the next single crochet. And repeat that again, chain 1, skip next single crochet, puff stitch. So for the puff stitch, we're yarning over, inserting, pulling up 1, pulling up 2, pulling up 3. Just like that. We're going to do that one more time. And then we are going to half double crochet into this last single crochet. Okay, so that is like our base puff row. Now we're going to start just decreasing till we get to a point. So chain 2, skip the first half double crochet and puff stitch, and make a puff stitch right into this next chain space. And this is going to be a pattern we start repeating. Chain 1, skip next puff stitch into the chain space. This is going to ensure that the puff stitches are offset from one another rather than being right on top of each other. Chain 1, puff stitch, and to finish, we're not going to chain 1, we're just going to do a half double crochet right into the top of the last puff stitch right here. Okay, and for the next row, it's going to be the same exact thing, so just repeat that, only this time there will only be 2 puff stitches rather than 3. Okay, so here is our third puff row done. Technically it's our 4th row overall. For row 5, chain 2 again. It's the same thing, but we're only having 1 puff stitch this time. So make your puff stitch into this center chain space and just half double crochet in this puff stitch right here. And then for the very last step, chain 1, turn, and single crochet into the top of this puff stitch. That's going to give it a nice point on the top, and from here you can cut your yarn. This end doesn't need to be too long because we're not going to use it to sew anything, and that is your Christmas tree. Okay, so at this point, if you're like me and you haven't woven in all your ends, you might be a little overwhelmed by all the different pieces here, but don't worry, we're going to take care of all of that. The first thing you want to do is steam block all of your pieces, especially the truck. It tends to just curl in. So you really want to steam block it so that it lays flat. If you're unfamiliar with that, I do have a quick video on it. But let me show you really quick how this is going to work once you're done steam blocking. I'm not going to steam block these pieces because the concept will be exactly the same. So obviously this is going to be the front, the tree is going to be in the back. So when you're assembling, you just kind of want to lay out the pieces. I would lay them all out first so you can get a picture for how you want it, and then maybe even take a picture of it, and then take them off and do one piece at a time. So for the Christmas tree, you just want to put it in the back. You can really put it however you want. I just tilted it to the side. So in the back, this is kind of what it looks like. So almost the bottom of the tree is just going diagonally across the truck. So obviously you don't want it to look like it's coming out the back, so you want it to be towards the bottom of the truck like that, and then just coming out. Now for the wheels, you can just layer them on top. I haven't made my second wheel yet, but here is what the original truck looks like. You can follow the pictures to see exactly where to do it, or you can experiment and do it wherever you like it as well. And then the window just goes right on here, just kind of centered in that top portion of the truck. So this is where you can just lay it out, kind of get a feel for it, and then start sewing them down one by one. As far as the seaming itself actually goes, I didn't do anything fancy, which is why I don't really feel compelled to show you how I did it. I really just did the same method I used on the wheels, the center of the wheels, just going back and forth, making sure it's as secure as possible. When you get to the end, I usually tie a knot and then try to pull it through and hide it when I weave in the end. That just makes sure everything is nice and firm and secure. As far as the tree goes, you don't want the green to show on this side of the truck. So I will show you how I did this part. Let me just thread my needle here. Okay, so when I did the tree, I just kind of held it right where I wanted it. And then instead of going down and up, because then the green will show, what I just did is I always caught it on the inside of the stitch. So you can always tell if it's going to show on the outside if the needle shows on the outside. So the needle's not showing on the outside, so I'm good. So then I'm just going to pull this through right like that, and now I'm all good right there. So now I can go through on another stitch and go through just the top layer, and once you kind of get going, it gets a lot easier. So see, let me show you this again. So I'm going through the top layer of the stitch, and then I can double check by turning it over, no needle, so I'm good, and then I go through the green layer. So this just makes sure that you don't have any green showing on the outside. And I went ahead and did this not just across the bottom of the tree, but also in some random places like up in the puff stitches too, just to make sure it's nice and secure. You can do it basically all the way up to where this red part goes to. So just kind of all around here a little bit. As far as the other pieces go, you can just use the color that they are. So like the wheels, I would use the black part, and then I would position it just the way I wanted it, and then I can just go back and forth because the wheels are on the top of the red rather than behind the red, so it's totally fine to just go back and forth with them. So that's really all there is to the assembly. There's just one other thing we need to talk about, and that is the hanger. So you may notice as you're assembling that the tree is a little bit bulky, and it just feels bulkier than the rest of the items because of the puff stitch, and so it can tend to weigh down the back of the truck. So as far as attaching a hanger, if you just went in a regular loop hanger right here, it won't quite hang right. It'll flop over because the tree is heavier. So I did a special loop for this. It's really easy. In fact, I think I just used the fastened off end from the top of the truck, but you can join a new one too if you want to. And what I did, my cat got to this, so excuse the fraying right here. But what I did is I just came and went through in a few different places that would really anchor the loop in place. So what I did is I first took this end and I made the loop and came down through the tree right here. So this already gives it more of an anchor because you're spreading out the loop between the different portions of the truck. So I made the loop the height I wanted it and then came through right here. And then I just put it through a few different places. So right here, I went down and up, and then I came back towards the top and did that again and wove in the end from there. So I'm basically starting here, making the loop, coming down and anchoring it in a few different places. And what this does when it hangs is it just makes the loop on 2 different sides of the truck, and then when it hangs it's a lot more sturdy and the bed doesn't flop over. So once you've assembled your whole truck, you can do that with the loop if you'd like. Again, it is 100% necessary to block your items before doing any of this because it will all curl up and do weird things also if you haven't blocked it. So make sure and follow those steps. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment and I'll be happy to help you. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Like I said, this is probably my favorite ornament I've ever designed, so I'm really happy to share this design, and I hope you guys have fun making your own red trucks. If you want to follow the written instructions for this pattern, the link will be in the description, along with the information all about the Christmas in July crochet, along with all the other ornament patterns that are available as well. Thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you around my channel more. I release lots of new crochet patterns and tutorials all the time, and I would love to see you there. Bye!